for this Cal meeting. We're going to take 3 to 5 minutes, if you don't mind. We've got a couple minutes left, and we're going to do a photo op. Right? Is everybody ready for a photo op? What do you want? Hey. Thank you. Oh, yeah, it's got his name on it. Got in your mind. That isn't my name. Did somebody lose State of the City? Nice book. Yes, it has my name on it, but it's not mine. Okay, with that said, good evening, and welcome to Tuesday, November 8th, 2011 at 5:35 in the evening here at City Hall, 790 Homestead Boulevard. At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order. And Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Faircloth McCormick.
Present.
Councilman Maldonado. Councilman Shelley.
Here.
Councilwoman Woolman.
Here.
Councilman Williams.
Present.
Vice Mayor Burgess.
Here.
Mayor Bateman.
Here. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Additions, deletions, deferrals, are there any?
Mr. Mayor, none, but I would like to request an executive session at the convenience of council in the case Homestead versus Mack Trucks. So the case Mr. Stead is handling.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. First item is discussion of Veterans Day Parade. William Keeble.
Good evening. My name is William Tebow, 2835 Fairways Drive. Good evening, Mayor, Council people, Vice Mayor. I'm here to request that you approve our permit for the Veterans Day Parade. It has been in process since October 12th. We also ask you to waive the bond requirement and the expense for the city providing barricades and setup. In addition to that, the Veterans Day Parade this year is honored to have the French Consulate of Miami present the Legion of Honor to 12 World War II veterans prior to our parade. In addition to that, we expect a half a dozen veterans who will receive their citizenship at this ceremony. We will have, as in the past, about 40 businesses and organizations from Boy Scout troops, businesses, Girl Scout troops, South State High School Band, and ROTC, all participating in the parade. And I understand our council people will be there also. I received some responses from the invitation that we sent. So I think we'll have everybody there. Admiral Brown from Sauk South and Colonel Lindbergh from the Air Force 482nd will be our Grand Co-Marshals. Mr. Bob Jensen will be our orator and announcer on the platform on Chrome Avenue. Parade starts at 12 o'clock. The ceremonies precede that. They start at Losner Park at 11 o'clock. Do you have any questions for me?
Yes, I do. Forgive me, and I apologize, but I will not be there, as I have I'm sorry, but I have a funeral that I must attend.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yes.
I'd like to move it, Mayor.
Okay, and we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
You got it, Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, item B, bowling alley discussion. Staff report?
Mayor, Mr. Kaufman is here to update the mayor and council on where they're at. Mr. Kaufman?
I hope we're bowling.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council, city manager. We had a meeting yesterday with the city attorney. We've gotten through both the lease agreement and the purchase agreement. There are a number of issues that our attorneys and the city attorney have to work out that are of a legal technical nature on the documents, and there are about 9 points that the city attorney is going to be coming back to the manager and staff on to review them with the manager and staff. We're ready and willing and able to meet with the city attorney on a daily basis till this is resolved. Our intent was to try to have it to the commission at next week's meeting. City attorney says that we probably will not be done in time, and to get it on the hearing schedule, and we just would like then to be able to go through the manager and request, a special meeting of the council to do final approval. We would have the agreements ready to be signed, proof of financing with that, and a deposit check in escrow with the city attorney at that point.
Let's refer back to staff. Staff, do you have any input on that
Mayor,
comment?
basically, the new information that came to us a few weeks ago, which we forwarded to you, was that the investor that they brought here at the last meeting that they had presented it, their investor is no longer in the deal, and they have a new investor. And so what I asked for him to do is to come here and explain how this deal is going to be finalized and consummated. I don't feel that the city attorney was any factor in any delay here, and so I don't think that was not your impression. You weren't?
No.
Okay. So I think I just wanted to make sure that you were comfortable in giving him a little more time to finalize this deal and also hear more about his investor and some of the other components here, the technical issues that he raised, most of which don't seem to be a stumbling block to this. I think the larger question for us is, does he have his finances in place, and is he able to bring this deal to conclusion?
We had presented the other investor in meetings with the manager and staff originally, and this is Orion Investment Management Group. They did present a proof of funds letter a long time ago. Their chief financial officer is unfortunately on a plane between China and here, and he's due back on Monday. He is going to reissue to the city a new letter of proof of funds, and this would be from their certified public accountant saying that the funds are available, subject to the documents being agreed upon. And this company has set up hundreds of millions of dollars of deals both here in South Florida and in other areas. They're quite reputable, they're long established, and as I said, we presented them as our original investor earlier on, but their timing was such back then that they couldn't close the deal. The situation we had with Worth Paris is confidential, but we could not proceed forward with them. We have a confidentiality agreement with them. It just was not going to work out for either party, and we had always kept Orion in the background to be able to step in. It's always been our intent to get this deal done, whatever it took.
Yes, Mr.
Mayor. The concern I have with this, though, is that this keeps stretching out. I mean, this originally was, I think sometime back February, March was the first time that we kind of given the go-ahead, let's go with you guys to get this going. Then there were some delays. Then we met, I think it was sometime in July, and it was, we have the financing, we're ready to go. We're going to enter into a contract, and we're going to get this thing in the ground. And now here we are in November, and there's still no contract executed. We don't even have an agreement to even set a closing date. And now it's, well, we'll get the agreement maybe next week, or now the financing isn't there, it's another financer. So I'm having some concerns about this timeline. I mean, to me, I just want a bowling alley for our residents. I think the residents want the bowling alley. We want a quality bowling alley. But it's taking forever. And so I guess my question is where's your guarantee that this isn't going to be another delay to then have another meeting 2 or 3 months from now to say we still need financing or we're still not going forward? Because the other thing I noticed is in your amendments, or the things that you requested changes to the contract to, your set of time for closing, it's, I think, 75 days, and there's contingency there for financing. So you're talking 2.5 additional months where you still don't have any guaranteed financing after the contract is even executed, which hasn't even been executed yet. So my concern is where are these guarantees? Where are the time frames to make sure that, one, you're going to execute an actual contract to close, and then two, that your financing is there and that you're not going to come back and ask for additional time?
Okay, we do have available financing, but we can't make that commitment until after the 75 days. There are things that are happening beyond us and beyond the city of Homestead that prevent us from executing the deal prior to a certain date, particularly in the realm of legislation that's coming out of Washington regarding taxes and other things. And our investors are sitting and waiting to hear that. You know, I'd like to tell you I can guarantee it. I would like to have come to this meeting with a check and say, here's a check, put it in the bank, you know, that we're going to do the deal. We've been as upfront as we can with the city. We've got the documents, I guess, from the city attorney about 7 weeks ago. It's been an issue getting the two attorneys together, more from our side than from the city side. And, you know, we'll take the responsibility for that. We felt that up until that point, we were rolling as quickly as we could be. I can give you only my personal belief that this is going to happen in the time frames we have. If the council wants to set a drop-dead date for this, you know, we're willing to accept that. We need about 10 days, 2 weeks to be able to be back to the city at this point with a document that the council can then approve. But we will still have that 75-day time period in that.
Mr. Mayor, can I follow up? My other question then is that to give us some sort of satisfaction, I mean, maybe you have to have the 75 days to get the financing and it's contingent, but one of the things you're proposing is that this first $50,000 deposit be non-refundable. So to show that you have the financing, that we're just waiting the 75 days is kind of a legislative, then make that non-refundable, because then at least you have some skin in the game, and we know that you're serious about this, and you're not just trying to buy time so that later on you're going to come in and say, well, we need more time. So that would make me more comfortable to know that we at least have a non-refundable $50,000 deposit that shows that you are serious and that it would take something more dramatic for you to pull out. That would make me feel more comfortable in going forward and giving you some additional time.
I would have to go back to our investment partners who are unfortunately not here tonight and ask that specific question of them. But it was at their specific request that we constructed the funding the way we did construct the funding. So I cannot make a commitment on that here tonight.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry. I just wanted to make it clear for the record, because I want to be fair to Lily Arango, who's working on this from our office. And I'm not, we sent the document to them 7 weeks ago. The first time we heard back from them was Friday. And the manager called and said, this is coming up on the agenda for Tuesday. Can you please do whatever you can to meet with them before Tuesday? So Lily called them over the weekend and met with them yesterday. So I just don't want to leave the impression with you that we've totally made ourselves available to them. He said there was trouble getting the attorneys together. There's not been any trouble from our side. We want to make this happen. We know you want to make it happen. We want to do whatever we can to work with Mr. Kaufman, but I don't think it's fair to put that on the record that we had trouble getting attorneys together, because if one of my attorneys can't meet with you, I'll get another one. So, and that's just the way we do business here. We want to get this deal done, and I just didn't want to leave it on the record, because it's not really fair to her, because she even went out of their way to call you on the weekend.
We have no problem with Ms. Rango. The attorney we had hired was in trial, and it was a rather lengthy thing, and it just didn't happen. And I'm handling it myself now.
Mayor, may I ask a question, please?
Yes, please.
I've been through this journey with you from the beginning, and I will say that I don't think that if you didn't have good intentions that you wouldn't have gone to the troubles and crossed the bridges and climbed the mountains that you've climbed. Although, Mr. Shelley has a good point there that we need something. However, I think that should come after a drop-dead date. In other words, if you try to come back and negotiate again, then have the non-refundable deposit. But if you're willing to do a 10 to 14-day drop-dead date, then that tells me, and we would have that letter ahead of time, right, from the Oren Group, showing proof of funds?
We're going to hopefully be able to get that letter Tuesday or Wednesday of next week.
Okay, so if we had the letter showing the proof of funds, and we gave you a 2-week drop-dead date, then we can move forward and possibly have a non-refundable deposit. I'm just throwing that out there.
You know, we're prepared to commit to a drop-dead date with the commission. The issue of the non-refundable deposit, I cannot get you an answer on that for a couple of days till I speak to the other parties involved.
So if we could at least agree tonight to do a drop-dead date with maybe contingency of a non-refundable at that time, I think that I would feel good about that. I want you there. We all want you there.
We have a lot of time and dollars invested in this
And
already.
as a realtor, I can tell you that it sometimes takes 3, 4, 5, even more sometimes financial institutions to meet and match all the needs of each party. So I understand going through 2 or 3 investors, but
So we appreciate that, and you know, as a realtor and, you know, as a member of the council, I'm sure you understand that this is not a real estate play.
no, I know.
This is a business venture, and we're financing a business.
I know.
And if we were financing real estate, it would be a different type of situation. If I wasn't looking to put a bowling alley out there and I was looking to buy the land at a price and do something with it now or in the future, we would have no issue getting financing. I'm selling somebody a fact that we're putting a business in there. We're committing for 7 years to operate a bowling alley. The money is tied up. It is bound by the success or failure of the business, and they have no recourse to recover $2.5 million that they're putting into the deal, you know, if the deal goes bad. And it's not secured by property. It's not secured by alternative development issues on the site. You know, this is strictly a hard business deal, and, you know, it requires a leap of faith, both on the business and on the community. And some days, with all due respect, Homestead's been a tough sell. It's taken a bad hit in the market, and we've spent a lot of time defending the city and saying it's a good market to invest in, to do the type of business we want to do, and we can have a very successful business no matter what the economy is like. So it's not just a simple financing package.
I understand. And Mayor, I don't know what's appropriate at this point, but if I may, through the attorney, I have no problem putting a motion out there saying that we give them 10 business days to come to the table with a drop-dead date, and then is it appropriate now to request the non-refundable deposit after that time?
Yeah, I think listen, I think certainly the city has been very flexible with them. I think it's appropriate for you to ask whatever you feel is timely. But I think if there's a 10-day drop-dead date, I think we need to define what needs to be done by that date so that we know where we are.
Okay, so would that be in the form of a motion?
Right. Do you think that, what are you looking for in the 10 days?
A contract, you know, and the deposit, showing that they have the funds to do what they're going to do. I mean, everything that would normally be included.
Can I make a suggestion that we would commit to have proof of funds to the city by the council meeting, and the 10-day or 14-day time limit on the signed contract? Would that help you all out if we were back in front of you next week with proof of funds?
If I saw it before, Mayor, it would make me feel better to know that your investor is saying that you have the funds.
Okay. But before we make that motion, let's hear from Councilman Williams.
Yeah. Thank you, Mayor. Let me say this. I think you all have been in the driver's seat since day one. We've been going the way you have steered us to go in that light. And also, I understand some of your frustrations trying to sell Homestead, but in the light of the investment part. But you all responded or made an offer to the city saying that you all can do this. And we have been have nothing but faith in where you have guided us to lead us to. And now we're back at the drawing board. at square one with no investor on board that we have proof of. And so let me ask you a question. What is the guarantee of proof that this investor will be on board with you? Because I think the city has been patient enough in the process in allowing you all to guide us and steer us, and now we're allowing you to steer us again by making that suggestion. And I'm going to support my colleagues up here in any motion that they put on the table. But I think at some point we have to be realistic about is this something that may be too big for you all to bite off? Because I've not seen any really succinct, concise, direct progress since you all have been at the helm. And so I'm a little concerned with even allowing the process to continue because, frankly, I just don't see the proof in the pudding. And so how can we be assured that if we give you this extension or this deadline, that your investor is going to agree to everything that we have indicated or that we will indicate tonight?
I can't guarantee that my investor will agree. All I could do is report back to the manager on that. We can commit to the drop dead date. That's within our authority to do. I can't commit the actual release of physical funds without their prior approval.
Okay. Might I make a suggestion, and I'd look to hear from the other council members, but he cannot obviously commit to anything tonight. We are at square one again, and I don't know about you all, but I'm not looking to entertain it anymore unless we have something concrete at the table, because we cannot continue to go through any more excuses of what happened, the uncertainty of that, and I think we have been more than amenable to them in trying to stretch and trying to make ourselves available to them, and we still don't have anything in writing. And I think that if there may be other persons out there who can secure the deal, we ought to open it back up for the process. We've been dealing with this almost a year now, and we have not had any ground, any level gone up to have any kind of security in this. And so I'm really at a standstill in not even giving me any more extension until they can provide some financials from the company, all that they need prior to trying to give them a drop dead date. Either they're going to do it or not do it. If it's going to happen, it's not going to happen with this company. And I think we're just really kind of spinning our wheels and frankly, wasting time and spending money with attorneys. Okay? And so I think we ought to be proactive in this. I think we ought to be realistic and see if this, I don't think it's viable right now. I'm just being honest. And so I'm not going to put any more energy behind something that's not going to be viable with more excuses. So that's my comment on that.
Any further discussion before we can entertain the motion, Ms. Wallen?
I'm going to move forward. It has been.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
One with, I didn't know.
Yeah, just, as far as the motion, I could go to the next council meeting. What I would want by the next council meeting, though, is proof of financing and a signed contract either on that day of that next council meeting.
You mean next week?
Next week. And with a condition in there that once the contract's signed, there's a $50,000 non-refundable. And then they can have their 75 days for the financing, but at least there's some skin in the game, and I mean, I could go for that. Because otherwise, if we set it for 10 days or 12 days, that means we have to have a special call, or we're going to have wait till the next CAL meeting, which is in December, and now you're getting into the holiday season. So I think we have a meeting coming up next week, and that would be a good time to address it. That's just...
Okay, it's comment. Back to Vice Mayor.
Well,
Ms. Wallen.
Is that possible for you to have a contract by Wednesday?
I don't know what your limit is for documents to be ready in front of the commission. If, our time is Wednesday night, and we finish, an acceptable draft on Wednesday, can that be brought forth to the commission at that point, or do we have to make it available to the public for a period of time before the meeting? That was what Ms. Arango indicated to me was a problem in having a contract.
Even if the contract is done Wednesday at 5 o'clock, we can get it on an agenda. It's up to the council whether you just want to report that a contract's been signed and a deposit has been received. I would suggest you probably want to look at it before you actually approve it. But if we have a contract that's signed by the time the next council meeting starts and a deposit, then two things could happen. One is we can put it on the council agenda and explain to you what the deal is, and you could approve it. Or we could just report to you that a contract's been signed, we have a deposit, and that it will appear in the regular course of business. So it could be, you could go either way. But there's certainly no prohibition against adding an item to the agenda. My only concern is that I know that this council especially likes to look at things in advance before you approve them. So, at the minimum, we could just put a report on the agenda that we have a signed contract for Mr. Kaufman, we have a deposit, and it will be, we'll do a memo which summarizes what the transaction is, and you'll approve it at the next council meeting. Or we could actually put the contract on the agenda. If Mr. Kaufman's lawyers are available, we can get it done either way.
I just don't want to lose you. I really don't. I mean, yes, it's been almost a year, or it has been a year. I don't know exact time frame, but I'm not a quitter, and you just don't walk away from something when you're so close. You're so close, and I think that for you to be able to pick up a third investor that quickly, it speaks volumes for me. It really does. So I don't know how we're going to figure this out here on this dais tonight, but I'm good with what Richard said. That if Richard says that he has a draft and can give us a report.
We're gonna look for. I mean, I want you to be clear. What I'm asking for is that we have a signed contract and a deposit.
Mm-hmm.
And I certainly, if we don't have one, it will not be because we're not available or not willing to work and get done. It will be because something's happened to the transaction.
And then at that time, Mr. Shelley's suggestion of having a deposit that's non-refundable, would that be something we would talk about that night after you bring us forth the report?
I think you should decide right now.
Okay.
That will be the trigger for the deal, for the transaction. I hate the word deal. The transaction to continue. And if we have a signed contract and a non-refundable deposit, then the transaction will continue, and we'll tell you that we have that. If not, we'll report to you that we don't have it.
Is that possible to do the deposit?
Well, from a practical standpoint, the deposit would be an escrow deposit with the city attorney because it would be subject to the council's approval of the agreement at the next meeting.
I mean, if we have the deposit in escrow in our account subject only to the council's approval of the agreement, I think that's fine.
I think that's fair.
And that would occur then at the December council meeting, is what you're saying?
Unless we happen to have some other meeting in between, but it's the holiday season, so.
But at least we would know at that point whether or not whether we had a correct Richard, whether we had a contract, whether you had your financing in order, and that would give us all time. And the holidays are coming up anyway, so.
We again have to consult on the issue of non-refundable to our financial partners, but I can get back to the image of that on Monday.
Well, once the contract's approved, you shouldn't have a problem with non-refundable.
There was an issue that we wanted a refundable deposit
Okay.
for a certain number of days. But given that the commission would be 30 days in waiting, that may satisfy the requirements that we had for some information we're waiting on. So let me go back and talk to them, address that issue. If we need the deposit refundable, then we'll still have to put the funds up to the city, and we'll notify the city manager of that, and you can accept that or not accept that at that point in time if that's all we can do. But if the deal is done and it's just a question of funding release timing, I'd like the opportunity for you guys to be able to look at that point. If you see the Orion has the money in the bank to do the job, the papers are all signed, and they just need another couple, 3 weeks to put everything together. If we can't comply with your request 100%, you'll have to make a business decision for the city, and, we're going to have something on the table for you that's, solid, and if that's acceptable, that's the best I could promise. I've never,
To bring this
Council,
to a close.
what I'm concerned about is that we go and spend a whole bunch of time and a whole bunch of money, which is what we're doing. We're drafting documents, we're doing all that, and that we don't have any assurance that they're going to have their funding. I mean, so we're very happy to do the work, but I think the idea of having a non-refundable deposit by the next meeting is a reasonable thing to do. I mean, the cities, we drafted all the documents, both the lease and the sale and purchase agreement. We did all that. So.
Mayor?
Yes, Mr.
I
Williams.
just got a comment because, see, I don't want the impression to be that I've not been amenable to what they're trying to do. But for my sake, and my colleagues are welcome to it, which I would like a report of what we've already spent on what, and George, I'd like an analysis or a report on what the staff time has been in this process. Because obviously, maybe it's just me, but I agree with Councilman Shelley. We have given and we have skin in the game. If I'm, correct me if I'm wrong, but Richard, you've probably already been paid for some of the stuff that you've done. So,
Well, yeah, because some of it we did probably during our last billing cycle because it was done basically 7 weeks ago.
Right.
Yes, we have.
Right.
I'm sure we have.
So, I like to report on how much money we have spent so far thus in this transaction, because we need to know exactly where we are as a city in this transaction. Even though we're trying to be amenable to them, which I don't have a problem, but I think if I'm going to support anything, that it's going to have to be a non-refundable clause in there, so that the city, at least if the deal does not go through, the city does recoup with the time and effort and money that we've already spent in dealing with this transaction. So I think that's good practical business sense, and also practical on the city's part to ensure that the city is made whole.
Okay.
Am I still?
You can make the motion, you can move it forward, let Richard phrase it.
So the motion on the floor is that the council is giving direction to us that by the next council meeting, that we are either to have a signed contract with a non-refundable deposit, I guess the amount to be determined in the discretion of the manager, or to report to you that we don't, at which point our arrangements with Mr. Kaufman will be terminated. Our dealings with Mr. Kaufman will be terminated. Is that what the motion is?
Yes, Mayor. What he said.
Yeah, I think that the only caveat I'd like to throw in there is I don't think that we should leave it at the discretion of the manager for what deposit amount. Because
So just tell us
it's
how
in
much
our
you-
hands right now,
tell us
so
how
let's
much
make
you-
a decision.
Tell us how much you want.
How much
I don't,
has he spent?
if there's there's a
How much
general
has he spent?
consensus, let's say a percentage of what was spent, or, greater than. If it was 20,000 spent, then you want 30,000 or 40,000 down. If there's 10,000 spent, then you want double that down. I mean, I don't know if it's a large number or not. Only you guys know that. Only you know what you build, Richard.
I don't think it's a tremendously large number, but
Yeah.
if you want to make the deposit equal to the amount of
We
time
could do
that we
that.
spent,
No,
we
Mayor.
can do that.
I thought I read somewhere in there that said 50,000.
They've already proposed 50,000, but at the time it was refundable. Now I want to make that non-refundable. That would be the idea. So that it covers not only what we spent to date, but anything we might spend in the future, and just to make sure that they're serious about their offer.
Yeah.
That would be my proposal.
I want to scare them off, that's all. Go ahead. That's
I mean,
fine.
you just have, you're right, you just pick a number, whatever you
Well,
think.
It seems to be 50.
Okay, so that's the motion.
Oh.
Is
Go with that.
that all right?
No, I'm not going to second that. No, I'm not going to make that motion. Because, if I may explain, Mayor?
Well, we'll just add an amendment to it, that's all, that's how we do
Okay.
that.
So let's do a little Robert's rules here, Robert's rules. Councilwoman Waldman has put a motion on the floor with a deposit, let's say, to be determined by staff. There's been a motion to amend the deposit by who?
50,000.
By Councilman Williams to amend the motion to require a $50,000 non-refundable deposit. Now you need a second to that motion.
Second.
So now you need to vote on the
Amendment.
the amendment and then vote on the motion.
Okay. Clerk, let's call the roll for the amendment.
Councilwoman Woolman,
No.
Councilman Shelley,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick,
Yes.
Councilman Williams,
Yes?
Vice Mayor Burgess,
Yes.
Mayor Bateman.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. All right.
So now on just on the motion as amended, which is that we need a signed contract and a $50,000 non-refundable deposit by the next council meeting.
Thank you, Richard. Madam Clerk?
Councilwoman Woolman,
No.
Councilman Shelley,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick,
Yes.
Councilman Williams,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess,
Yes.
Mayor Bateman.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk, and thank you, Richard. Mr. Kaufman, you got your directions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item, item 5, is Committee of the Whole minutes, approval for the September 13th. Thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, tab 3, motion to place car 301 on council agenda, professional services, governmental
I'll
consultant.
move 301.
Thank you. All right, staff report.
Mayor, the South Florida Ren Group has served the city of Homestead since 2009 as a member of the city's legislative team. The principals of the Ren Group are now operating FRCG and plan to wind down the operations of the Ren Group. The principals of the FRCG have over 40 years of cumulative experience in government relations at the local, state, federal levels. Staff's recommendation that mayor and council authorize the city manager to enter into an agreement with the Fuentes Rodriguez Consulting Group to allow their representation of the city with federal, state, regional, and local governments with regards to legislative matters.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Questions and comments from council?
Question.
Okay, Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Manager, they only handled state and local at one point, right? They're now adding federal. They had specific parts that they were handling for us dealing with South Florida management. Now they are going to be a general lobbyist for us, or what?
I think their primary responsibility is still state, although, Julio, I think there's some overlap because of the issues that they're involved with.
There is an overlap, yeah. Now they're doing some federal work as well.
Like what?
Well, there's dealings with, when you deal with the Florida Department of Environmental Protection and also the environmental, the EPA, for example. So those type of contracts, they go in that sense.
Who was handling that before?
We've used Alcalde and Fay for that as well.
And we're
Yes.
still paying?
We're going to use both, yeah.
So we're going to use both? Okay. And the amount has not increased, still $2,500 a month, right?
And we wouldn't see that they would be doing much in the federal side unless there's some overlap that directly relates to the issue that we're dealing with. We have federal lobbyists that handle the federal issues, so this would really be just state issues and anything that kind of flows from the major issues that they're dealing with.
Okay.
Right, the way the contract is written is it's representing the city of Homestead and the Florida legislature, and any other services the mayor and council or administration assign. But
Okay.
the contract says Florida legislature.
Okay. No, I just read federal and other, so I just was trying to get clarity. Thank you.
Question?
Yes.
Thank you. Again, has this increased from last year?
No.
Exactly the same?
Yes.
And I had a question about Alcalde and Fay, but what about Mr. Levy? Because he represents us in Tallahassee as well. So how will that be crossed? How will those lines be met?
Well, what I've discovered over the last year is that sometimes we have overlap, although this particular firm is handling most of Julio's items, but we've had some overlap issues, and we've also assessed it based on who's got what contacts and, who's got basically, in the world up there, everybody's got a different contact, so we try to utilize them and create synergy where we can. Sometimes it's not as great as it could be, but we're trying to work those things out.
When was Mr. Levy's contract renewed? I can't remember.
I don't have that date, but we could get it for you. Does anybody recall offhand?
I mean, wasn't it recently?
Yeah, it was-
Okay, all right. I'm just looking out for everybody. Thank you.
I think this is a good time even to mention the legislation that's on the floor right now to do away with CRAs. And I know that they've been very active. They've contacted me a couple times already, and I think that every voice that we can put together right now at the state level we need, because it's a pretty strong push to do away with community redevelopment agencies at this point.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Who's leading that? Who's introducing that legislation?
That is
De La Porte.
De La Porte,
Miguel
Portilla,
and Friesen.
Friesen. Present.
I thought I read something different today.
Well, that's what I was told, and Bob Levy had already talked to him too as well. So I think that we need all the voice. The stronger the voice, the better at the state level right now.
I agree.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, any other questions?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Was the Ren Group's contract up in September, and so this is just now going to the new entity, or did we renew it, now we're kind of assigning the old contract to the new group? Do we know?
I think it's a name switch, isn't it? It's just a name change.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Did we just renew their contract recently, and now we're just doing kind of an assignment, or just from a procedural standpoint, or whether this is the normal time their contract would have been renewed, and we're just renewing it with a new group?
It's normal time to read it.
Does anybody know?
What the date was?
I believe it's normal time to
Does
read
anybody
it.
have their contract?
I remember 2 years
Do you have
ago
the
when we
contract?
first got on council that we renewed their contract. When we first got on council, I remember that was 2009. So I know it was,
Two-year contract at
Yeah,
$30,000 a year.
That's right, with the Jeff Scott.
yeah, we had to, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I think this is a renewal along with their name change.
Okay.
Maybe staff can correct me.
I was told it was a renewal, but I guess we don't.
Yes.
A renewal with a name change. FRCG. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, motion carries. Item C, motion to place card 302 on council agenda, general obligation bonds, GOV, interlocal agreement number 3.
Move it.
Thank you. Second? Thank you. Staff report?
GOV project number 89-70530, Mayor Roscoe Warren Park, is eligible for funding from the BBC GOV program in a total amount not to exceed $3,509,000. The county and city executed agreement number 1 on February 16, 2006, in the amount of $400,000, and agreement number 2 on December 9, 2010, in the amount of $625,000 for the project. The final portion of the funding is for $2,484,000 for the completion of Mayor Roscoe Warren Municipal Park project. Staff recommends the Mayor and Council approve the attached resolution to accept the interlocal agreement number 3 of the grant award from Miami-Dade County Building Better Communities General Obligation Bond Program for the construction completion of Mayor Roscoe Warren Municipal Park in the amount of $2,484,000.
Mr. Williams?
No, I don't have any.
Okay.
Comment?
Yes.
Not on this item.
Mayor?
Yes, please.
I just want to say thank you very much to Julio and Dennis and the rest of the staff, because we had this was a long road, and we had a lot of timelines we had to overcome, and it was just a massive amount of work. So I want to thank you very much, and under the leadership of the manager and assistant managers, this is very well deserving, and couldn't have done it without the help of all the staff pulling together as a team. And I can remember the meetings after meetings, and are we going to meet that deadline? And then Julio's connections and Dennis unable to, extend deadlines when we needed to. So thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Any further questions? Okay, all in favor? Nays? Motion carries. Okay, tab 5, motion to place car 307 in council agenda renewal of group health insurance.
Move it.
Thank you, second. Thank you, staff.
Mayor, it's staff's recommendation the mayor and council approve the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to renew the city's health insurance coverage with Cigna Healthcare for the term of 1/1/2012 through 12/31/2012 for a total cost of $5,460,841,044. The cost represents a 5.37% increase from the 2011 premiums. In addition to the renewal rate, Cigna has once again provided the city with a renewal rate guarantee. This package further authorizes the city manager to renew the agreement with Cigna for the subsequent years.
Thank you, sir. Questions and comments? Council? Yes?
Just for the record, because we won't be discussing this on the council, correct? This will be on the consent agenda? Well, I don't want to pull up, but I just want to make sure everybody understands that, and Vivian and I had many conversations today. The difference is in the HMO, which the majority of our employee population has the HMO, and I'm repeating this for my own benefit as well, that the difference is there will now be a $200 deductible, and on a family plan, it's two people in that family that has to make that $200 deductible, and then you have another, is it $225? I forgot my notes.
$250, the admission.
Another $250. Okay. The main thing I want to make sure that everybody understands is that's also for any outpatient procedures, that's any MRIs, any X-rays, even lab work, I'm assuming.
Any hospital-related services.
Hospital-related.
Hospital-related.
And towards the deductible, can you use the prescription, what you pay for prescriptions? That was a question I didn't ask you today.
No, the cost
Okay.
for prescription does not go towards the deductible.
So the only thing that can go towards the deductible are the co-pays that you pay at the doctor's offices?
No, it
Can you
is
use
simply
that?
hospital-related services, which is a good thing. I mean, if you're going to go to the doctor, you're going to continue paying whatever you have paid this year. You're not going to have to meet that deductible for that.
Okay, so only hospital-related incidences. So if you had blood work done in a doctor's office or an X-ray done in a doctor's office, you don't have to make that $200. And okay, and the routine things that are free, like the colonoscopy,
That continues. All
Yeah,
the
all
wellness,
continues. Okay.
absolutely.
All right, good job. Thank you.
Any further questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Motion carries. Public safety. Motion to place literally a car number 209, council agenda, replacement of damaged police car.
Move it.
Thank you. Second, thank you. Staff report?
Mayor, it's staff's recommendations the city council approve the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase one 2012 model year Dodge Charger patrol vehicle from Maroney Dodge of Pembroke Pines with Devolve Ford providing and installing all the additional police equipment and graphics for the vehicle. Total purchase is $33,404, which will be funded from self-insurance from $21,712, and from general fund uniform patrol division for $11,692. The vehicle is to replace one in-service patrol vehicle that was damaged on 10/08/11.
Okay, questions and comments?
Comment, Mayor, if I
Yes,
could.
sir.
Question. I know a while back, and I was approached personally by the fire chief of Key Largo, and they were looking for a police car or something to do some training on. As many of us know, Detective Laz there lost his significant other down there. And one of the problems they had that night was getting somebody removed from a car that had the cage and all that in it for, that they have the protection for to keep a suspect in the back. And I didn't know, I had spoke to the manager a while back, and this car seems to be a total loss with nothing but I guess maybe a body, the engine's seized up and all that. So I was just asking if perhaps, if they're still interested in that. It's been a while since I've talked to them. It was back in June when they approached me. If this is something that we might be able to move, as they do inner trainings with other fire departments and safety departments from around the state down there. if we might be able to, I don't know if there's any value to this car or not, as it's junked, or how that is, or if it's something that we could maybe possibly give in the name of helping advance training of a public safety division.
The question about what to do with surplus equipment has come up before, and really it's a policy decision. We have a request in from a nonprofit for additional equipment. Jerry, what's the equipment that's being requested?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. We have a nonprofit, as the manager has stated, that is requesting some used pickup trucks, as well as possibly a van of the vehicles that are going out to salvage. Now, the salvage list hasn't been completed as of yet. We're still in that process, and in fact, there's only one pickup truck there available right now.
Jerry, let me ask you, that's a local group that's asking for that?
Yes,
Yeah,
Gospel Workforce,
Right.
if I'm not mistaken.
So
Worthwhile.
the question would be, do you want to take them one at a time? Do you want to set up a process? Do you want to make a policy that they go just to law enforcement? There's a whole variety of ways you can handle surplus equipment, and if you'd like us to give that additional thought, we can do that, or if you have some ideas that you'd like to implement, we can carry out whatever your desire is.
Well, why don't we let you look into that and come back, council meeting or something?
Look into it as far as what we want to do with it.
I think police is different than the farm equipment and pickups and trucks.
No,
Is that
true.
You know, we've got, so why don't you look at the police side of it and come back, right?
Yep.
Okay, all in favor on that? Any other questions first? Any other questions? Hearing no questions, all in favor? Aye. Any nays? Okay, motion carries. Before we adjourn, I'd like to welcome to the dais everyone back after that wonderful election we had, and like to welcome Patricia Faircloth McCormick to the dais. And would you like to say a few?
Thank you, Mayor. This has been an interesting 6 days. I remember this time last week I was a little fatigued, but right now I'm just really excited. And I'd like to thank the mayor and my colleagues on the dais for their warm and welcoming reception for me, as well as the city manager and city attorney for helping me to get acclimated in this new capacity. Through the manager, I look forward to meeting our department heads to get a feel for the inner workings of your department, as well as the residents throughout this city. I have an open door, open heart policy, so I look forward to working with you days, weeks, months, and years ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And with that said, a motion to adjourn? Motion. Thank you. Second? All in favor? Thank you.